Another week, another podcast, another Aaron. Got another guest on the show. Before we get into the introductions, let's start the show. You ready to go, Jack?
Yeah.
You're listening to DIU Podcast, Daily Issues Uncovered. My name's Gavin. I'm joined by my co-host, aspiring pickup artist, Jaxie.
What's up?
We are joined today We're joined with Aaron. Not from last week. If you listen to DIU Pod 76, we also had an Aaron. This is a completely different Aaron. I swear to God, we're not making up guests. We're not having fake guests, reoccurring double guests.
Or are we?
Or are we? We'll let the listeners decide. But before we get into that, I want to introduce Aaron, fellow podcast host of First Generations Podcast. How's it going, Aaron?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. I'm blessed. How are you guys?
Blessed.
To have
Another
you.
day,
Blessed to have
another
you.
podcast. We are blessed to have you. Another day, another podcast. And very happy to have Aaron on. Aaron's one of these guys who's been on the DIU Discord for a long time. And just someone we, for one reason or another, never had the chance to get on the show. I asked Aaron a few months ago, maybe, like, if you want to come on the show. And it sort of got to that, like, phase where nothing was happening. I was like, yeah, man, for sure, Aaron. Come on the show anytime. And it's kind of like, you know, when you see someone on the street, when you bump into your friend in the street and you're like, yeah, let's hang out. You know what I'm talking about, Jack?
Yeah, 100%. Those Asian, parents where they go like, we'll go 飲茶 next week. We'll go dim sum next week. Never happened.
Yeah, and then you just give like a, yeah, for sure, man, yeah, and then it's like a friendly nod, and you go your separate ways, and never to see the person again. It was like that with Aaron. So
That's my bad. I'm ghosting you guys.
damn, I wanted to be one ghost Aaron, but we finally got Aaron on the show. Before we get into this introduction, though, how about you talk about your show, your podcast, First Generations Podcast? What's it about? Why did you start it?
That's a great question. I think so like you mentioned, my podcast is called the First Generations Podcast. And I started it because it was like a passion project. I wanted to find a way to give back, and I found that a lot of people in my circle, or that either I hung around with or that I'm around, we're very limited through our perspectives, and because of that, we tend to trap ourselves, whether mentally or we just don't believe in ourselves, or we don't see other people's perspectives on things, right? So we start a lot of judging and so on and so on. So as a result, like, I wanted to get people to share their stories, and specifically people I define as first generation, and that I define first generation as someone that has paved their own path and definition of success on their own terms. No matter the hardships, the criticisms, and negativity they had to endure, they continued on and did what they did. So yeah, I started this podcast to help share some perspective.
Like, these are the real stories,
really
like the real come-up stories, right? People are working hard, busting their balls. That's what you mean by first generation success.
Yeah, and you know what? I also define success not necessarily as rich, because I feel like nowadays a lot of times, like, money drives a lot of individuals so much to the point where we kind of lose ourselves. Like, we don't stay true to ourselves. We don't realize what's actually important in life.
That's what I was
Mhm.
thinking. And when you said success, I was thinking money, famous, rich, but guess not.
I'm guessing on the podcast, it's not like all of your guests fall into that same definition of success. What is like another form of success, not related to finance, not related to fame, that some of your guests have achieved?
It's funny you ask that, because I find that an underlying common one is fulfillment. And when I say fulfillment, it's being happy I guess it depends how one defines being happy, but a lot of it stems from them giving their time, whether it's volunteering or doing what they love, So
Mhm.
for example, I had this one guest. He was in Alberta. He was in the oil field, and he was making well over six figures. But he was miserable every day. And for him, he realized that money wasn't what he wanted. But he ended up quitting, pursued his dream, flew back to Victoria in BC, and started his own mixed martial arts gym. And for him,
Wow.
being there and helping people, whether if it's losing weight or staying healthy, that was his form of success, and he found it very fulfilling doing that just by helping his community. And it kind of stemmed upon, and he even expanded to, dedicating his time throughout the community, whether it's going to a soup kitchen and just help making his community a better place. So that's how, like, I find that a lot of guests do define success through the terms of
Mhm.
fulfillment.
That's interesting because, like we were just saying earlier, a lot of times people define success. The easiest way is, yeah, wealth, successful business, whatever, right? But I think what gets swept under the rug is what you do to personally feel good about yourself, right?
Hmm.
And with money, yeah, it's easy. Like, okay, if you have a ton of money, it's like that's what a lot of people aspire to. I think that's what society tells you is the definition of success. Because as kids, we go to school. Why do we go to school? So we get a good job. Why do we get a good job? We get money. It's interesting to see how in your podcast, Aaron, the definition of success can move away from money.
Oh no, thanks, man. And also another thing too, like let's say for us, I assume most of us like that are tuning in right now were of some sort of Asian descent. So like for me, I've always thought about why do monks want to be monks? Like you have monks at the Shaolin Temple. I don't think or financial wise they make much money. Or you have monks that dedicate like all their lives. Like I've always
Mhm.
questioned that aspect too. It's like how come they do what they do?
Have you met a monk?
Yeah, I've met a couple, and they're very. It's like they don't have any attachment to life. They're very selfless, but yet they're very theoretical. It's just I don't know. It's just the ones I've met are very intriguing and very spiritually tuned in.
Right. Are they Buddhist monk?
One the one I've met is Buddhist. I think one is I don't know what one of them says he's like from a branch from Wudang or Wudang Mountain. So I'm not sure what
Mhm.
religion that is.
From what I understand of Buddhism, the idea is to disassociate yourself from possessions. And when you see in that lifestyle of how possessions, whether that be financial or greed, holds you down, in the completely opposite sense, a monk might give up all their possessions, go to a monastery or go to a temple, and dedicate their lives towards achieving what they think is enlightenment. And for that, that's a completely different reality than I think what most average citizens would think is a normal life. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see and hear that your podcast is showcasing a different aspect of success. Anyways,
Oh,
where can we listen to the podcast?
Oh yeah, of course. All right, first off, I want to thank you, Gavin, for saying those kind words. The podcast can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Yeah, just those two major platforms. I don't think
Awesome.
I'm listing anything else.
That's all you need.
Sorry,
That's all you
anywhere else.
need. Aaron, you also mentioned Alberta a bit. If I'm not mistaken, you are from Alberta, right? Or you're currently living.
I'll see. I'm living in Alberta. I actually grew up in Vancouver. I grew up in Vancouver, BC. That's actually how we met our mutual friend Nina.
From
That's how I
past
met her
Past the
from past.
poutine.
past the poutine.
Yeah,
And
but
then you
yeah,
moved
I've
to
been living in
Alberta.
Alberta.
When was
I
this?
did. Dude, this was when I was like 14, 15. Like when I was, so it's not recent.
I have a
Okay.
question. I have a question. Is there a lot of Asians over there?
There actually are. In my opinion, there are, but it depends on where you live. Like it's kind of segregated, and I find that because for example, some schools or some areas they have more Asian communities or programs, and those areas would have more Asians there. But I think if you were to ask me, like where I grew up in a very, or I still live in a very whitewashed area.
So I mean, I've heard if you go like Central Calgary, like, tons of Asians there, right?
I would say so, and a lot of Vietnamese specifically. There's a lot of Chinese people, Chinese individuals here too, but I think most Asians are predominantly either Vietnamese or Filipino. I think.
Mhm. I think that's such a stark contrast to where Jack and I live in Markham, Ontario, where there's tons of Asians. And hearing about how, like you said, you're living in an area predominantly white dominated. I don't know. Do you feel a strong sense of cultural identity to your Asian side?
100%. I definitely do feel a strong sense of cultural identity, because I think I was talking to one of our mutual friends, Kyle, too, about this on his podcast. But
Mhm.
for myself, I feel that because of that strong sense of cultural identity, that's kind of why I stuck with martial arts, because I feel that nothing else that I am, or nothing else I do, really resembles, my Chinese side, right? And in the Chinese community, let's say for Chinese New Year's or certain festivals, I would perform weapons and stuff like that, martial arts for the Chinese booths. But like, I still feel that I don't like I'm not looked at as Chinese. They call me like a banana, like a Hönzuzai, but they never
Mhm.
acknowledge me as their own. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're still different.
So that's why you sort of drifted towards martial arts to kind of get in touch with that roots.
100%, 100%.
I got you. I got you. Kyle is quick with a plug in the chat. So I'm not going to just duplicate Kyle's podcast. If you want to check out more of that, Aaron's backstory, I'll link to that episode as well. Jack, is there anything you want to ask Aaron before we get going?
A typical question I like to ask is that I don't know, not to offend you, not to offend you. No offense, you know me. You listen to enough episodes.
Oh yeah. Ask away, man. Ask away.
Oh, where's
Yeah,
this going?
It's getting pretty serious, bro. How good do you think your Chinese is actually? I'm just curious.
If you're asking me, my Chinese is terrible. I think the only Chinese that's still stuck in my head are like the martial arts movements. Like, for example, one of my disciplines is Tai Chi, right? But when my teacher teaches me Tai Chi, he's like, I can't teach you and translate it into English. So he'll be like, he'll say something in Chinese, and I'll still remember the moves of that, even though I don't know, like, I can't translate it directly. But like, if I was to hold a conversation with someone, let's say in Cantonese, I don't think I can, to be quite honest.
But it's your background Vietnamese, right? I remember correctly.
No, I'm actually a hybrid. So like my dad's like a half Chinese, half Vietnamese, and then my mom's full Chinese, but they're both from like the Hong Kong area, right? So I think I assume my dad's like a what do you call him, a Wagyu?
Yeah. Yunnan Wagyu. Yeah, Yunnan Wagyu.
Something like that, right?
Yeah. You're correct. You
So
are correct.
That's a Vietnamese person living in Hong Kong. What is that?
No. It's
For the listeners.
it's a Hong Kong person that grew up in Vietnam.
Vietnamese in Vietnam.
Unless it's the other way. Unless I'm wrong, it's the other way.
The way I look at it, it's either or.
It's either. Well, Aaron's dad was in Hong Kong, right? So
Yeah.
No, but then they moved to. Okay, it doesn't matter.
okay.
But yeah, our podcast is not about digging up Aaron's history. We're here for our issues today,
We're talking
right,
about
Gavin?
issues. We're here to talk about the big issues. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Or hey, if you want, man, at the end, if you want to have a segment that goes along the lines of, let's test Aaron's Chinese, like, you can test me too.
there we go.
I'm sure.
That's what the Cantonese corner is here for.
That's right.
All right. I did want to ask you though. Speaking of Alberta, how's the situation there with COVID? How's everything going? Are you doing well? Are you as fucked as we are?
I don't know if we Albertans over here are facing the same as Ontario, because I heard you guys people in Ontario have it really strict, right? So as of today, apparently, I just found out that we have a little bit more restrictions put up on us. So right now, hair salons are closed. All fitness centers are closed because prior to this announcement today, it was like 15% capacity, right? And patios were open, but the restaurants are closed, if that makes any sense. But now everything's closed. So
similar to us here, we had that
Oh.
sort of change a few weeks ago.
okay. So yeah, I don't think it's too bad, man. I to be quite honest, I think it's how you make of it, right? Like for example, for myself, I'm either at home working or I'm always out. Like I'm outside going for a run, or I'm trying to stay active. You know, I'm trying to build up
I feel
that
like
immune
Aaron's.
system.
I feel like Aaron's got to be one of those guys you see in the park doing Tai Chi. You know, is that what you do normally? Because here in the morning, you see a ton of Chinese people, a ton of Chinese grandpas doing Tai Chi in the park.
Yo,
I don't know about now with COVID,
yeah.
but
it's grandmas right outside my house. You know how there's a park, Evan? Outside my house, all grandmas playing. Well, before COVID, it was like they're playing this like Chinese music and they're doing Tai Chi or some shit.
that's the real art. You know, that's the roots Aaron is searching for. Trying to get in those Tai Chi circles.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, and to answer your question, I am part of those grandmas.
Oh yeah,
I go to
man.
the park because here in Alberta, our winter. I'm sure in Ontario, the winters are pretty bad too, right? Like it gets so cold.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are colder, but yeah.
So during the winter, actually, a lot of malls they open up early and they let like a lot of the older Asians to do their Tai Chi.
Do Tai
inside the
Chi.
mall.
Yeah.
And I'll be joining them, or I'll be leading a class or teaching certain forms.
Damn, yo, this guy's a Sifu, man.
This guy's a sensei. We got Aaron the Tai Chi sensei on the podcast. Okay.
Oh man.
Jack, you told me off the show you scheduled your vaccination for COVID.
That's right.
After our discussion last week, Jack, for a recap, Jack said last week, you know, you were gonna take a wait and see approach.
See,
You know.
that's always been me, but you know, what happened was the backstory to that is like, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna wait, you know, like I'm gonna wait everything until everything dies down, and like I don't have to fight for spots to book. But ironically enough, you know, my sister decided to fight for me. She was like, yo, she's refreshing the page, she's booking times. She even got me an earlier time. So originally my booking was May 30th. And then she was like on the webpage today, refreshing, apparently. And then she got a
Spamming
time.
that F5 button, like just like
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't know, like,
Refresh,
she was
refresh.
I don't know what she was doing. And then she booked me for May 16th, which is next week, next Sunday. So I
How
don't
do you
know,
feel?
That's awesome.
I'm happy that I'm getting the vaccine, but at the same time, you know, like I want to see what happens in young people that get it. You know,
You still have some skepticism. Some
yeah,
skepticism
exactly.
in you,
You
right?
see, like, I'm happy, like I can get it, but at the same time, like I was hoping I can get both vaccines before summer, but the second vaccine is in September, so I have to wait 4 months to get
the second shot, right?
Yeah,
Because it's 4 months, yeah. It used to be 2 months when the vaccine first came out. You get your first Pfizer 2 weeks later, right? Then you get your second one. So now they said, hold on, we're going to spread it apart 4 months apart.
I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that the vaccine is only good. They have to be like within 2 months, like taking the shot. I don't know.
Oh, what?
That's what I've heard.
So why are they
supposed to be.
recommending 4 months?
I don't know. I've heard from my friends in the States that they said that it's supposed to be within 2 months, apparently. So I don't know.
Yeah. So Jack, do you know which brand of vaccine you're taking? Are you taking Pfizer, the AstraZeneca, or the?
It's most likely Pfizer because I think we are more stocked up on Pfizer.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
they're
heard
coming-
that's a good one to take.
Yeah.
I'm 100. If they're giving me anything else but Pfizer, I'm not taking it because I've heard that we can only go to enter China if we take Pfizer. If you take any other brand, they don't accept you in. Apparently,
Nice.
Interesting.
that's what I've heard.
Like,
So
you
if
can't
they're
go. If I took Moderna, they'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
yeah, apparently they're letting Pfizer like stocks go into not the like stock, but like stock for the vaccine to go into China. So they are allowing people that took the Pfizer shot to go into China, like to travel there and stuff. Apparently, because one of my friends that wants to go work there, she said that you can go to China if you have Pfizer, and this was told by someone within China to her.
Interesting. I think you'll get Pfizer. I think so. Because Canada's getting a ton of
So
doses, right?
if they're giving me anything other than Pfizer, I'm gonna reject it.
Okay, sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because we're
Aaron, how do
allowed
you feel
to.
about Aaron? How do you feel about the vaccine? Did you get it yet, or do you want to get it?
Oh, have not gone it yet. I was kind of taking Jack's approach where like I'll take it when I need to, like at the very end. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm still waiting on it because kind of like Jack said too. Like I want to see how the guinea pig. I'm waiting for like version 2 or version 3, right? You got to let those guinea pigs see what happens.
That's me. That's me.
Jack's a guinea pig, huh?
Because I also tell you, man, it also happens. Like it doesn't help that I watched the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith. Like obviously in context it's a little bit different. In that movie they're trying to find a cure for cancer, if I remember correctly, but like you know, what if something like that happened?
No, 100%. That's why I was like telling like my sister, you booked it so fast, man. Shouldn't wait at least 1 year to see the after effects? Maybe like there's a zombie apocalypse because everyone that took it would turn into zombies. That's what I told my sister. She's like, yeah, so many people already took it, Jack. It doesn't matter. I'm like, well, but we turn into zombies.
And to top it off, let's think about it. Like most people in the medical profession have already taken it too, right? So like we'd be super doomed if like something like this happened.
If all our doctors turned into zombies, we're fucked either way.
But it's just a crazy thought of mine, you know. I don't know.
It is a crazy thought, but you know, there's a chance for anything, right? Like you see so many zombie movies, is like, bro, how did they get it? No shit like this happens.
Yeah. Hey, did you guys see that meme? Like, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I remember when this Corona first started, there's this meme where it showed there was this corporation in Wuhan with the same logo as the umbrella.
The umbrella.
And I saw that. I'm like, oh.
I remember that. You're saying it's a Resident Evil.
But yeah, I don't know if there's any truth to it, right? It was a meme.
Well, Jack, report back in 2 weeks, and you know, maybe half a year down the road, this becomes a zombie podcast. You know, I'm joined by my co-host, Living Zombie Jack C.
Yeah, I don't think I will be able to do this podcast from a fucking zombie, yo.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. Everyone will be zombies. We gotta have the new DIU podcast will be 50% human, 50% zombies. So everyone is everyone is welcome on the show.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Gavin. Out of the TIU team, if we turn to zombies, you'll be only human left because everyone's getting the shot.
I guess so. Don't worry, Aaron's with me. We'll be unvaccinated.
Oh my god.
No, I do plan to get it eventually. It's just I just don't have the luxury Jack has, where your sister is just spamming F5 and refreshing the page. You know, if I had that luxury, I might have already gotten the vaccine already. 2 zombies on the show.
You and your sister, man.
She's crazy.
It's good. I mean, like, your family had a few COVID scares, so definitely understandable why she would want you guys to get as soon as possible.
That's exactly why, but at the same time, it's not resilient to the Indian variant or the South African variant or some shit.
We'll take another vaccine when those become an issue here. Ready to jump into issues?
Yeah.
Recent findings suggest that the number of unhappy wives in China has doubled since 2012. These findings suggest 1 in 5 women in China said they regretted getting married last year, versus about 7% of men who said they regretted getting married. Most of the dissatisfaction seems to come from either domestic violence or household responsibilities, unequal public policies, which kind of is pushing the way towards these findings. So divorces in China is about 20% in 2009, whereas in 2019, it hit 50%. So we're seeing an upward trend of divorce in China. Most often, it's the wife who initiates the breakup, according to this data, which says 73% of divorce cases heard by all courts in China were brought by women. So then, just hearing this straight off the bat, though, how the number of unsatisfied wives in China is going up. I want to hear if there are any initial responses before I take a deeper dive.
100%. But I'll let Aaron speak his piece first.
I find that super surprising, man. At least from my perspective, living in Canada, there's always like that divide between white culture and Asian culture, where Asian culture is kind of perceived as more traditional, and it's more about duty and doing the like keeping the family together. There's that heavy emphasis, right? Whereas in the West, it's about being happy and being just doing your own thing. So like these statistics, like I'm mind blown about them.
Jack, what about you?
I'm not mind blown at all. Actually, the opposite of Aaron. I'm not to be sexist here, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get sexist here.
Oh God.
Ever since the women's movement, don't get me wrong, which is a good thing. Divorce rates has been higher as China becomes more into equality, because like the Western countries doing it, they're getting more people into equality, and that women should have the same rights as men, etc., etc. It's gonna start to be like the West, where a woman is like, yo, I want a divorce. This man's not good enough for me. I want a better man. Yeah, I want a richer man. Especially in China, which I feel like it's more intense than in Canada, is that the amount of people in China, they're like, the women at least, they always want a rich guy, a tall guy, a handsome guy, right? Gao fu shuai, right? It's like go fu and lang zai basically in Cantonese.
Tall,
right?
rich, good looking.
Yeah, so that's
handsome.
Like the main three. Yeah, that's like the main three traits of a girl in China who they look for, and that's the trend. It's been in the last like whatever years, and because they want a rich guy to take care of them. And when I see this, I'm like, oh, this is normal, man. The guy's not rich enough. They tail along the guy, the husband, and then a rich guy comes along. Oh, let's get with him. Let's cheat on my husband. And it's the same in the West, but not as money involved, because women in the West are more independent. They don't really care about money. They care about like the guy, right? Like in the West, it's a bit different here. So, but at the end of the day, it's just, women always want a better guy. Like they never satisfied. They have a high bar. I'm not saying guys don't. Guys, like what the saying is, guys are always one-hearted for an 18-year-old, right? Like just it's a saying, right?
What
Like
the fuck? That's a saying?
It's not literally mean like 18-year-old. It means they always want a young girl.
Is there a Chinese idiom about this?
No, I don't think it's an idiom, bro. It's just a saying. It's not an idiom. It's a saying.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I'm trying to say is I'm not surprised at all.
That makes a lot of sense, though. That does make a lot of sense.
And I'm not trying to be sexist here. And women do always want more. Like men can never satisfy a woman. A woman always like, yo, you're not good enough for me. I want a better guy. That's woman. That's woman.
They want a high value male.
100%. Exactly.
What was the big three?
Like,
money, wealth. Wait, no.
It's gold,
height,
wealth,
and
so
good looking.
Yeah.
Handsome.
So tall, handsome, and good. Tall, handsome, and rich.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's hard to beat that. It's hard to beat that. Go ahead.
Random question though.
Yeah.
Like if you guys had to choose 2 out of 3, which 2 would you guys choose?
Yo, tall and rich.
It can't be all 3.
Tall and rich. Yo, Gavin already has height. It doesn't even matter. Gavin's fucking 6'2" or some shit.
Gavin, you're 6'2"?
Yeah. So
Holy
I'll take that.
wow.
It's a good benefit. Not just for looks. Everyday life. It's a pretty useful skill.
But
Except if you're living in Asia, maybe not, because I spent 3 years living in Japan and South Korea. Everything was so short. The cupboards are built for short people. The amount of times I hit my head on a cupboard, maybe height isn't a big skill advantage there. But I would say, I'd say height and money. I go with what Jack said too.
What were you, Aaron?
You know what? I think I'd say that the same too, because like with money you can get plastic surgery, right? Make yourself look good.
I was thinking more like, I don't know. Aaron, are you in the Facebook group Subtle Asian Dating?
Oh no, I'm not in the dating market yet.
No, it's just a Facebook group, and it's basically people auction themselves, and a lot of requirements from the girls. They're always like, I want a guy 6 foot tall, but the girl's like 5'4".
Oh yeah. Okay, so you guys have heard of this then, because this is something that doesn't like. For example, I heard this happen. So a lot of girls ask, "Oh, how tall are you?" And then the guy responds in a very similar manner, saying, "How much do you weigh?" And apparently, that the girl takes super big offense to that, but it's okay. It's kind of one sided from that aspect.
The double standards.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
actually heard that. That was like a huge thing last year, I think, when COVID first started, because like there was a lot more online dating, right? And I saw that. I'm like, yo, why can a guy ask for your weight? If you're asking for his height, why can I ask for your weight? It's like it's fucking females again. Like it's always like that. It's such a fucked up thing, like you asking for my height, I'm asking for your weight. It's normal. And plus, I'm asking for your weight, and you think you're fat or whatever, right? Like you can just lose it. We can't grow taller, bro. We can't grow taller. You can lose that weight, right?
Hey, Jack, if you want to send me that invite to that group, I'd be interested in tuning in.
I don't think that topic's talked about, but yeah, it's just basically that group is just basically people auctioning their friends. I think Gavin made a post for me, but I told him to delete it the next day.
I did. A while back, I made an auction post for Jack. Well, it only got like 30
No,
likes.
50.
Okay, there. Okay. And then you told me to take it down. Why?
Too little
Why
likes.
did you tell me to take it down? Too little
Wait,
likes.
hold up. Okay, let's just say if we equate 50 likes to 50 opportunities, is that really little?
But
I think
40,
90% of them were Jack's friends.
Okay.
But yeah, and I wanted to say something earlier about what Gavin said about how being tall is horrible in Asia.
Not horrible. Not practical.
Okay, well, I want to correct Gavin. It's not practical, it's true, but it's bomb ass being tall in Asia because most men are short. So like, when you're like Gavin's at 6'2", girls are like flocking there, man. First, you know English. Second, you're fucking 6'2", bro. Like you're the first one seen in any crowd because you're in Asia and people are fucking short there, and like you're like girls are like all over that shit.
You're jealous. You're sounding very jealous, bro.
If you don't mind me asking, this is a super noob question. So what's like defined average height in Asia then?
My height 5'6", 5'7", I think.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, based on the general eye test, yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, I don't know about Japan. I think. Let me
based on when I stand in a crowd, being able to see over everyone's head, that sounds about right. Not to rub it in.
I just Googled it on in Japan. My exact height is the exact average height, 5'7", 5". I just Googled it.
There you go.
Okay,
there you go.
So I'm actually just like the average height in Taiwan. But like if you're Gavin's height, girls are flocking. Girls are flocking, man. That's what I gotta say. How tall are you, Aaron?
I'm 5'9". I'm not that tall.
That's still pretty good. You're above the average.
I do recall I went to Hong Kong once when I was like, then I guess in my teens. I do recall going that moment when I was in Hong Kong, and I was considered pretty tall because a lot of people were really short, and I could see like over a lot of heads, and it felt so weird because it's like here in Canada we're not known to be tall, right?
Yeah, but like I think it's the water we drink or some shit here. Like we're typically taller than like if we were born in Asia, I think Gavin wouldn't be 6'2".
Yeah, Gavin, what are you eating? What are you eating? Are you smoking weed? Like what is it?
I just listen to podcasts all day. Pfizer. Take the Pfizer vaccine. That's what gets you to 6'2".
Get the munchies. Eat pho.
There you go.
Have some jerk chicken.
That's the routine. That's the routine.
Funny thing is, I think Japanese guys are actually really short. Like shorter than 5'7". I think the average height is like 5'5" for men in Japan. So Gavin's like a giant there.
I don't think so. 5'5" is an average. I mean, getting way off topic, dude. So, the issue, wives unsatisfied in China. There are some potential reasons for this dissatisfaction. One reason is that because men aren't doing as much housework as their wives. So, Chinese women's labor participation rate, they're about 60%. meaning they're working, right? So, which is one of the highest in Asia Pacific region, according to this article I'm reading. So they're working in jobs, but also being asked to do maybe the same amount of housework. So that's one reason. Second reason can be related to domestic violence. So in one study that looked at 525 cases of domestic violence, 85% of the victims were female. Among that, most of them were between 18 and 60 years old. That suggests married women were more likely to suffer from domestic violence, according to this one study. Last but not least, I think there's a pressure on women, especially in China, if we're talking about how in 2015, the one-child policy was removed. Women were encouraged to have at least 2 children. So the simple way around not having children, if you don't want to have children, is not to get married. And I think these are some of the reasons which lead to increasing dissatisfaction, right? Does that sort of make sense?
Oh yeah.
No,
Any of these surprising?
No. It's because, again, it's becoming more equality. And I do believe equal housework, depending on what you do. Like, I'm going to wash dishes. Anything but cooking for me, honestly. I hate everything but cooking. I mean, I hate cooking. I'm fine with everything else but cooking. Sorry, correct that. I just hate cooking.
Same here.
I'd rather do the dishes. But I totally understand the equality part, but I feel like women always want more. Okay, I don't, men, women just wants more and more and more and more. They want overly equality at this point, I think, in life. Like, like in the West, the East is going to catch up to the West. And in the West, a lot of women just want more. Okay, you should be doing on the housework and go to work. That's what women want. I want to sleep all day. You do everything. Because in history, men has dominated the table, right? They had dominated the everything. Now, in the 21st century, women want to overturn that table. They want, men should be doing everything, not me as a woman. That's
where are you getting this from, though? Is this like your personal experience or something?
I just feel like it's personal experience. That women just want that. Like, because a lot of women I know like are very career oriented in our generation, and they want to like quote unquote focus on their job, and you do everything else.
Isn't that what men have been doing for?
Yeah, and yeah, that's why they want to turn a table at this point. They want to flip the table around. And don't get me wrong, I might be sexist. I might be sexist. Sorry, my girlfriend's in the background yelling at me.
I heard you are.
She's in the background yelling at me.
Refreshing the backseat. Oh, she's yelling at you for being sexist?
Yeah. But some women, just wants more, and you're not doing this for them. I'll divorce you, because divorce is so easy these days, right? That they don't care anymore. Especially how like in the West and in the East, if a girl divorces, they fucking get half of what the men have. So it's like, so it's. I feel like the tables have turned, and the men don't have power anymore. Oh, I'm divorcing you. I'm getting half of it you have. You own that house. You have half that house. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all women is like that. There are obviously women that are not, but many are like that now in this generation because society has raised them to be that way.
First of all, let me applaud Jack for the amount of balls you have saying all that while your girlfriend is sitting behind you.
Let's let Aaron say his piece. Let's let Aaron say his piece.
Okay, sure. Aaron, what are your thoughts on what Jack just said?
You know what? Like what Jack, like when you say with the divorce and stuff, like I kind of like I get it from that. I think I can see it from both perspectives, right? First things first, like as divorce is a shitty thing, and then based on our gender roles in the past, and because of how divorce works with 50-50, if we were looking at it just from a monetary perspective, it definitely doesn't look fair because like most of the assets like the guy has worked for directly kind of gets split in half, right? It's kind of like that what's his name, Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon. Like, how when he split with his wife, like a lot of people are saying, oh, like his wife just gained half of what Jeff worked for.
His
but then I also
net worth.
His net worth. But then I also do see the other side of the aspect too, because like back then from the past, it's like, you know, females were limited to such a role, like such limited roles, so they indirectly, or they make it up for other, from a different perspective of other contributions, right? So I can see what Jack's saying, man.
And like, you know, Bill Gates is getting divorced recently, right? The last couple of days, I don't know if you guys saw the news. His woman is probably getting half what Bill Gates owns, or at least a huge portion, I would assume.
It's likely. Well, the counterpoint, like Aaron was suggesting, if you're this person's wife for like 30 years, let's say we're talking about old school traditional gender norms, where the woman is always at home doing chores, doing household, and it was up to the, like, yes, in this case, the guy did earn, technically they worked and they earned all that money. But then I think the reason of the half split is because at the time the wife is supporting the husband in the backgrounds, and they're still doing the housework,
raising the kids.
Yeah.
Let's say this, okay? What if my wife makes more money than me and we end up getting divorced? Do I get part of what she has because she made more than me?
I think so.
Yeah, technically you would.
Technically I would, but I doubt it because, you know, the kids are gonna go with the wife, so she shouldn't have to give you any part of the money. I would assume like that.
You just get it half?
Usually,
isn't it just half?
Because the woman usually wins the Fuyankun. I don't know what's that in English. Like, gets a child.
Right?
Like they
child
get
rights. English
rights.
Child rights.
Child rights.
Like, Fuyankun, right? Oh, custody. That's the right word. Custody. So usually, woman gets a custody, and then they will have the excuse where, the husband has to help with the kids. At the end of the day, I think the men will end up paying, even though they're poorer than the woman. I just feel like that. I don't know. I don't have kids. I'm not married yet, but that's how I feel like it's gonna happen.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you'll still get half of the shit.
Yeah, it depends. But here's what I think. I think that let's say for example, if I have a sugar mama, or my wife is super stinking rich, and the same thing, we divorce and I get half. Like, if she's okay with that, that's fair, right? Because that happens to the males too. Like in our society, if one side is okay with the other side, then I think that's fair. But if historically you have the male that's always, you know, getting ripped off, quote unquote ripped off, and then if it happens to a female and females revolt against that, now that's where it's not equal, in my opinion.
No, I 100% agree with you. If like she's a stay-at-home wife, she never works, she doesn't have work experience, and she takes half the men what he owns, I totally 100% agree with that, because he was like, even to this day, like if my mom and dad get divorced, I would 100% support what at least half my dad has goes to my mom, because my mom, you know, raised me and she didn't really work when we were kids, so she doesn't have much work experience. And I totally agree with you on that part. What I'm talking about is a 21st century woman, where it's like Gavin said, this article was about divorce rates like now, right? And like how in our generation people are getting more divorce and shit like that. It's all women. It's trying to flip the table. That's how I see it.
Right. So wouldn't that be kind of good for men? Like, if let's say you get married to a working woman and she has the potential to earn more than me as a man, so that would be in my favor. I guess, is that what you're saying?
No, but here's the thing. You know, when we take money from women, we get a lot of backlash as men. I don't know if from, like, let's say that at least in public, right? Like a rich person, like let's say Haley Berry, that Kyle posted a link of. I'm sure his husband in public probably got a lot of backlash. Like, he's a man. Why is he taking money from a woman? You know, historic-wise, men should never take money from a woman. It's not good for face, right?
I don't know how
it's not good.
How important that is, though. Because we're talking about moving. I don't know how important that is now, because we're moving to the 21st century.
I understand, but like,
women are working. In the past, they're not, right? So I don't think, I wouldn't look at this guy and be like, oh, he's a loser. Why is he taking his wife's money? It's all fair. I'm
not saying you will, but I'm just saying a lot of people in society will. They will think, yo, this guy's a man. Why is he using a woman's money? You know, in Chinese saying, look, it's like 偷海饭, right? Like, eat slipper rice, right? So like, or it's like 云饭, right? Like, dude.
What does that mean? To eat slipper rice?
It's like spending a woman's money, like using a woman's money.
So you're saying, I mean, that sounds bad for like traditional old school Chinese people.
In Asian society, it's 100% bad. It's like 好丟架. It's like lose face, right? It's like it's not good, right?
All right.
So
Yeah,
it's like
so
that.
Not as big of a. I don't think it's as big of a issue here.
Maybe
right,
I don't
in the
know.
West. I mean, like personally, if you see this news story of a couple divorcing, and the man is leaving with more of the shit, like they're getting the benefit, I wouldn't look and think of that guy like, oh, this guy's not a man, right? I mean, that's just me personally, though.
I don't think us being born in the West will see it that way. We won't. We'll be like, oh, whatever. But I think if you're more of an Asian family mindset, they will.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But I think the point of the article, like we're going back to the issue, it shows me that norms are changing in China. It's becoming way more acceptable to get divorced. More women are working in the labor force so that they're able to support themselves. I don't see it more so, like Jack, you're saying, women always want more. They always want the triangle, the big three, height, money, being handsome. Like, I don't see it as that. I think it's more of women are more independent and they want to do their own thing. Because that's exactly what happened in North America. And that's exactly the trend which will happen in any country that gets more wealthy. It's just being more independent. You no longer need to get married because you can get your own job. It's becoming less appealing. Sure, there's always going to be value to a traditional marriage, but as a country, as a society gets more wealthy, like we've seen in China in recent years, huge wealth boom. As a country gets more wealthy, the need for, traditional stuff like having kids, getting married becomes less important because you no longer need to worry about raising 5 kids, 10 kids. You no longer need to worry about all these extra things because you have that wealth. With that, we move to a form of society where people can just chill and become independent. Like Jack, earlier you said the East is becoming more westernized, but it's more so, in my opinion, it's more so the idea that they're just catching up to wealth. Like they're getting more money. The society is more stable. You're not trying to feed yourself every day. And then when you get to that society like that, not every woman needs to get married. Not every person needs to have a child. It's kind of a luxury. Does that make sense?
That does.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you guys this: like, so when you said the statistic of domestic abuse, that kind of, or maybe I've been living in a clan or something, but that kind of surprised me. Is it common for a lot of domestic abuse in Asian families?
I don't know if it's common, but it's not surprising when I hear these numbers.
Yeah,
I feel like it's not uncommon. Like I'm not shocked. I feel like it's a society where you kind of want to save face, right? So a lot of people might not even want to report to the police, or you might be afraid to report. Versus here where it does happen, right? Like if you get abused, you might be afraid to report it, but still, I don't think a lot of men are getting abused in China. I mean, that might be ignorance on my part, but I feel like in history, it's mainly been the wives getting abused. Whether it be because the husband, they have financial power over the wife or physical strength, right? So it makes sense how domestic violence can be so one-sided like that.
Okay. Here's another thing too. I'm not sure if there's any factor or play into this, but I remember like back then, because of like the one-child policy, that moving in alone by itself kind of made females like more of a commodity. Do you think that has any play with how females like take the approach in a relationship? Like, even though like obviously from a generational aspect, like as for now, adults, females versus the number of females and males, there's not that big of a gap, right? Because then that whole one-child policy that would probably catch up 5 or 10 years from now. But do you think that might also play into how females value themselves more when it comes to the social relationship between the male and female?
It's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head how long that one-child policy was, but I think even if you did it for a few years, eventually there's going to be a generation that gets fucked over because it will be lopsided, right?
Yeah.
So I can kind of see what you're saying. Like, there's a point in time where if females are so highly regarded, then you might get that swagger, or like, I'm owed this treatment, right? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. What do you think, Jack?
I don't really get the question. So he's asking how it affects the next generation when there's a one-child policy?
Because of the one-child policy, women became more desired, right? Because from what I understand, a lot of people wanted boys to pass on their family name, their legacy, whatever, right? During the one-child policy. Meaning a lot of baby girls, from what I understand, they're either abandoned or, like, people didn't want baby girls. That's the point. So when you get in a society where there are so few women, they become, obviously the demand is higher.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're raised in this society where women are taught like, you're worth a lot, wouldn't that sort of have connotations and carry over?
Yeah, it would, because at least in China, males outpopulate females. So, yeah.
So do you think that leads to that like what you were saying earlier, women are always wanting more?
Yeah, 100%. Because like they know their worth. A woman knows their worth. They know that, I'm valuable. For every 104.46 male, there's 100 females. So like every 100 couples, there's 4.46 guys that don't have a girl.
Wow. I mean,
So,
hearing that though, it kind of makes sense then that girls should be able to have higher standards.
Yeah, but I don't think it's right for guy or girl to, like, you're married, be happy where you are, man. Like, you have a girl, go home and eat steak. Don't go and eat burgers. Like. Women our generation.
What does that mean? Hold on. What does that mean? What does that saying mean? Is that another Chinese saying I'm missing?
No, it's a white saying.
What does that mean?
So, like,
go home, eat
it's like
steak?
You have steak at home. Why would you go and eat burgers?
So you're saying if you're married, your husband is the steak. You already got the good shit. Why are you settling for some side hamburger? Okay.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I actually learned it from a white crowd for this saying. I didn't hear this from like anyone Chinese.
All right.
It's one of my few white friends that I can count with my one hand.
Okay, there. But I mean, okay, based on like the numbers, if you knew you were in demand, it seems logical you'd wanna fidget your way to get what you think you deserve, right? I'm not saying it's right, but it makes sense.
I think if I was married and have kids, I wouldn't do that. Like if you're single and you have choices, then sure, like make your choice, make your pick. But if you're married and have kids, I don't think you should do that. Like the reason why it's such high divorce rates is, the woman most of the time. But obviously, guys have their thing where it's like their abuse, shit like that. But we don't talk about men getting abused, but whatever.
True. Let me ask you this: so if you're not happy in your marriage, potentially getting abused shouldn't.
No, 100%. If you're getting abused,
leave.
No, 100%. Divorce, whatever. If you're getting abused, I totally agree with that. It's the point where the women are always looking for something better, even when they're married. Are you supposed to look for something better when you're married, Kevin?
Like monkey branching.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard
that. Honestly, Jack, that depends on the person. It depends on what you value. If you value traditional marriage, yeah, it'll be. You can say it's wrong to divorce, especially if you have kids already. But that's your and maybe many other people's perception of what's a right thing to do. But if you don't care about that tradition, and that's what I'm getting from this article, old school traditions like this are a thing of the past. And as you become more modern, things like marriage are going to have less of a meaning. I think people might get married more easily. They might get divorced more easily. And I don't know if it's in my right to say it's a good thing or a bad thing. I just want to say it's a modern thing. It's going to become more common, and we're seeing it's a trend. It happened here in North America. It's happening in China. And as more countries get rich, it's very likely that the divorce rates will go up. Because divorce, if we think about it, is a luxury. If you can actually leave the benefits of being as a couple, whether you're talking about, like just two people to help around the chores, dual income, whatever, if you can leave that benefit, I think it's a luxury, right? You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm saying if you're from a poor country, if you're poor, you're more likely to stay with a spouse, even if they're abusive.
I see what you're saying.
Mm.
I think it's like a privilege, right? To have the means to go, like you said,
To divorce,
get
yeah.
divorced.
Like, I'm not saying it's a good, like, obviously it's sad, or there's so many implications of divorce, but just the concept in general of divorce is a very luxurious thing, because a traditional society like China, if you think back a while ago, it would have been so taboo to divorce.
Yeah.
But then now we're seeing so many more people doing it, and as more people do it, it becomes less taboo, right? So I think it's a sign of the times going forward. And if you are able to get more, I think, it's understandable why you would want to trade up, like you said. Would I suggest doing it? That's not my position to say anything. I don't know. I wouldn't suggest doing it, but I can see why. If you're in a society where women are so high, like you said, there's 100 women for every 104 men, then supply and demand, you can't say there's more value in this one side of being a female. I mean, those are just my thoughts, though. Is there anything else you guys wanna add, or any thoughts? Any final thoughts?
This is personally what I think too. With the whole marriage thing, I feel that in society, just in general, whether it's East or West, especially when you mentioned with how poorer countries are catching up, they're becoming first world countries. It's almost as if marriage is almost looked at as if it's like for the norm, or for the majority. Marriage is looked at as like the end point,
Right.
It's like
the end goal.
Line. End goal, the finish line. Once you get married, it's done. But I feel that there's definitely much more to that, right? And maybe in society, or maybe if it's social media, or if you look at your Disney films, like we all see, oh, you get married and you live happily ever after, right? But we don't see the whole process of, maintaining, seeing the work that we have to do to maintain a marriage, meeting the needs and wants of the other partner, communicating, all that kind of fun stuff, right?
Yeah, we get the wedding scene, the end credits roll, and we go home happy. That's it.
That's the story of my life.
Yeah, it's not as simple as that, but yeah, it's an interesting idea to think about, and it makes you think: should marriage be seen? There's nothing wrong if you think marriage is sacred, it's traditional, and whatnot. But then, like we're seeing here with this new study, that times are changing. We already know that in Canada, in North America, divorce rates. Divorce isn't a big issue here. People aren't gonna say it's taboo or anything. And I think it's catching up in China. And it'll be interesting to see if in the future, this traditional Chinese mindset, will it still be here? Like marriage is the end goal. You gotta have kids. If you're not married by, what is it, like 30, you're a leftover woman. Is that what they call it there? So I'm wondering, I'm very interested to see if in the future, those norms those ideas are going to change. And based on these findings, I feel like they will change.
Maybe.
Okay. Moving on, we direct our attention towards the Cantonese ambassador, Jack C. And, like Aaron said, if you want to quiz Aaron on the words you're teaching us today, we can go that route. But we're here to learn Cantonese. We're here to learn Cantonese.
I think I've said some of the words that I'm going to teach. I think they're really good words.
Okay.
But maybe I'll quiz him afterwards. I'll quiz him on old words that I've taught on the podcast to see if he was listening.
Oh, you're put on the spot here.
Okay, let's go with the first one I'm teaching. First one is, I think we said on the podcast. 食軟飯. 食軟飯 is means eat soft rice, meaning you're living off your girlfriend or wife. And then there's 食拖鞋飯. That means the same thing, but you're eating slipper rice. So the difference between those two is, I think in China we say 食軟飯if you're from Guangzhou, but if you're from Hong Kong you would say 食拖鞋飯. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but I think Hong Kong people say 食拖鞋飯, Guangzhou people say 食軟飯.
Why slipper? What does that mean?
Why it's
is it like you're getting whipped or something? Yeah. Why do they call it that?
You're spending your wife's money, so you're eating under her slipper. You're eating from her change.
Okay.
So the slippers is metaphorical then.
Yeah, it's metaphorical. Yeah.
Oh,
interesting.
Another one I said was 撫養權, meaning the custody. The English word is taking custody of the child. 撫養權, right? 撫養權 is who gets the rights to take care of the child.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have 高, tall. Oh, Gavin, 好高. I think the last one will be 平等. So 平等 is equality. I want everyone in the world to be 平等. I want everyone in the world to be equal.
Okay. Can you repeat the words for us?
食軟飯, 食拖鞋飯, 撫養權, 高, 平等.
Okay. Informative lesson. Aaron, I want to ask for you, what do you think of these Cantonese corners? Are they useful? Are they helpful? Just from a listener's point of view.
I personally think they're helpful. For me, again, with language, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? I truly believe in that, and I don't put myself in an environment where I have to use it. So I definitely find this stuff very, very useful. It's funny too, especially with how you guys add your own flavor to it, right?
All right. Let me test Aaron here. Just a couple of tests, okay?
Oh shit.
Let's do it.
Let's take a look. What should I test him on?
This guy's going into the notes.
This one is an idiom that I brought up. Okay, 打草驚蛇. Can you?
Oh fuck!
I think you were there for this episode. 打草驚蛇. What does it mean? I'll hit you. I'll give you a literal meaning. Okay.
Okay.
Hit.
Let's do it.
Hit grass. Surprise snake.
I'm gonna come out 100% honesty. I don't even know. I am blank. I'm drawing blanks, man.
Best guess, Aaron. Best guess.
It's kind of like being. Is it something around being around the bush? You're doing something that's it's like you're trying to nail a point, but you're hitting it blind. Something like that.
Close, but not that close. So it means that it's like keeping element of surprise. Usually it says oh 冇打草驚蛇. Don't ruin the element of surprise. You're trying to do a mission, and 冇打草驚蛇.
Oh, okay, okay. So technically the snake is the surprise, and it's hiding in the grass. But the saying goes, "Don't hit the grass because you might ruin the surprise." Okay.
Yes, technically speaking, yes.
Okay. 打草驚蛇.
Yes. Let's see here. I'll give you maybe two more.
Okay, I'm gonna admit to my Chinese is really, I'm serious. It's terrible, but whatever. I know the slang.
Okay, 一言九鼎.
一言九鼎.
So if
What's
I
the literal
translate
translation?
One
1, 2, go.
sentence. One sentence. 3-9 3-legged bronze vessel.
What?
One sentence. 9. It's just boat. A thing is like a 3-legged bronze vessel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
One
I
sentence.
don't even know how I'm gonna.
9
attempt this.
dings.
Okay. You give up?
I do give up.
Okay. So it basically means someone says something. So one sentence. It means someone that says something has a lot of weight, has a lot of credibility.
Oh, okay.
So the
Cool.
is the one sentence I would say, right? The 9 3-legged bronze vessel is the weight of what he's trying to say. He said something. It's very credible.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, one more. I'll give you easy one. Okay, easy one. All right. Give you easy one. Let me find it.
It's not gonna be easy.
Yo,
All right. This is a very easy one. If you're listening last week, you will know. 你情我願.
dude, I was not listening last week.
Just take a guess. 你情我願.
情我願.
Yeah. So 你情 is like you.
Okay.
But I'll literally give you the answer if I tell you the direct translation.
Before I say what happened to 食多 iPhone and 富遠權 and you know.
Yo, bro, I said those already. I said those already.
How about 大學?
Okay, I'll give you an easier.
How and all that stuff, right?
I'll give you an easier one. Okay, very easy one.
Okay.
疫苗.
Okay, you know, I don't even know how to translate that.
疫苗. What does it sound like? I'll give you to a sentence. I'll give you the sentence for this one. I'll give you the hint and the full Cantonese sentence. I won't use English, okay?
Okay.
我下星期去打疫苗.
It sounds to me. It seems like 你打飛機.
What the fuck? Okay, no, it's vaccine. It's vaccine.
Oh, okay.
That's
Is that
it.
an easy
That's
one?
my test for you, bro. That's my test. For you.
Because last episode, Jack said that wasn't one of the words that would come up in daily life.
No.
Man,
He's like, Jackson, I'm gonna give you an easy one. He gives you a Jake Mew.
That's pretty easy,
I don't know.
bro.
When you say yik mew, it's I don't know. In my mind, I think of like milk. I don't know fucking why.
That's no lie, bro. But yeah, no,
Mew.
it's used in my family very often because we talk about like COVID a lot. My family.
Oh, okay.
So in our family, it's talked about a lot, but I don't know in other people's family, it's not. I don't feel like a lot of CBCs or ABCs it says, "Oh, I only look like yes, sir." Some would go like the daily usage words, right? And vaccine is not a daily usage word for us. Ever since COVID, even before COVID, we talked about vaccine within my family. So not about COVID vaccine, obviously, but vaccines in general. So I've used that word like my whole life, so I already knew that.
Okay.
Mhm.
I attempted. It was a fair attempt, in my opinion. I think
It's okay.
with
No, you know what this says, right? You need to listen more on the Cantonese corner, bruh.
I do. I need to write it down too.
It's always posted on our website at www.dirupod.com, right, Gavin?
That's right. Let's end off the show. Unless Aaron, you want to ask any Cantonese specific questions to our boy here, the Cantonese ambassador. Any words you want to translate while you got the expert here?
Whoa! Putting me on the spot here, bro.
You're putting him on the spot.
I don't know. Like, just I feel like the words I know are very not appropriate, but I don't really fully know what they. I know they're not appropriate, but I don't really truly know what they mean. You know what I'm saying?
It's all about that fake game, man.
Like that I know. You know, like when you're playing with the joystick, right? But like,
no.
Whatever.
It's about 打手槍, man.
what's 手槍? Is
手
that
槍
same thing?
Yeah, same thing, but it means handgun. 手槍is
Oh my
handgun.
God, I never heard of that one.
So what's the common saying? Is it 打飛機 or 打手槍?
No, 打手槍 is a Taiwanese thing. They say in Taiwanese a lot. 打飛機 is more of a China thing, like in general.
I see.
I actually learned that saying from the kids in Taiwan. They're talking about it.
Okay.
Your kids are talking about jacking off in your
in
class?
class shit or something. Yeah, and I was like, and yeah, they basically taught my older students taught me they're like grade 8 or grade 9 or some shit. But
Oh,
they said it in Mandarin. They said it in Mandarin.
He's dropping on your kids. He's dropping on your students. They're talking about handguns. You got scared? Like, yo, my students got handguns. They're just talking about what kind of porn they're watching.
I don't know, bro.
God. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Aaron, for coming on the show. Can you plug your podcast once again?
Yeah. First off, I want to thank you guys for having me. With my podcast, the website is thefirstgenerationspodcast.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And I'm on Instagram, which is First Generations Podcast, or my personal Instagram is the.aaron.tam. But yeah, that's where you can find me. If you want to teach me Cantonese, like, go ahead, but don't send I can't read for shit. So like you gotta like send a voice and show me the characters and tell me what it means.
On our website, it has the voice, it has the it has the English translation, and it has the Chinese, bro.
Okay,
perfect.
Definitely do that.
All right, thanks a lot, Aaron. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment on the website. That's www.diupod.com. If you want to support the show, get in touch with the show, email the show, diupodcast@gmail.com. You can support us a ton of ways. diupod.com/beer. Buy us a beer, The Cantonese ambassador spends so much time teaching us Cantonese. Buy him a goddamn beer. You can do that at diupod.com/beer. If you're into the dating scene, the number one rated website according to DIU Podcast is Christian Filipina, diupodcast.com/CF. Make a membership. We get some kickback.
For your Filipino needs.
What else is there? We're on Facebook and Twitter, DIU Podcast. Anything else, Jack?
One more thing. I just want to thank Lax for leaving a comment on last episode's podcast. They said in Taiwan they call it Gonggoyan, so tool man. So just want to give Lax a shout out.
What does that mean?
Gonggoyan
what does tool man mean?
Gonggoyan is tool man, like literally tool man. Gonggoy is tool.
Oh,
yeah,
what did we talk? Wait, what was the context of that?
I don't know. It was something about Gonyam Bang.
Oh, okay. You were talking about like the simps who
get
attracted to the girls and they're willing to do anything.
Yeah.
So tool man, that's the word for simp in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
You're a simp.
Good to know.
That's
but not
like if you're a guy who's not dating a girl, but you're willing to obey her at a drop of a hat, you're a tool man. You're a tool. You're a gonggoyan.
Yo, Jack, how do I teach me how to say something in Mandarin to hit on a beautiful Taiwanese girl?
He says BRB. He's going to the bathroom. What the fuck? What the fuck? God damn. This guy's really holding in his piss. Okay. Well, okay. We got to get back to you, Aaron, with that pickup line. But thanks again for coming on the show. I think we're gonna wrap it today.
Thank you guys for having me.
I'm gonna ask you, Aaron, if you can, to end the show. And what Jack usually says is, thank you for listening and tune in next time on DIU Podcast. Can I get you in your best First Generations Podcast voice to say that sentence? Let me type it out for you. We gotta have the outro. Take it away.
Thank you guys for listening and tune in on next time on DIU Podcast.
You should do better than that. Come on, bro.
I'm trying to imitate.
You can add more power. You can add more power to it. That's what I'm looking for.
So you want me to scream more then, huh?
Some finesse. Some like think of a narrator in a movie trailer. You know what I'm saying?
I'm take two.
Take two.
Thank you for listening and tune in on next time on DIU Podcast. How's that?
All right. We'll take it.
Do we need to take three? No?
You got one more in you?
I don't know if I do. But I think we're holding Jack up.
Jack literally he said he has a stomach ache. He's taking a shit as we speak. This happens far too often. Like, this is the third time Jack's taking a shit in the middle of the show. He was holding it in for half an hour already. Okay, well, you know, that's my bad then. All right, let's end the show.
Kudos.